Starting tomorrow, we will be living together with Mom. Get ready for it. Hey, don't just decide things on your own out of the blue. What's the big deal? There's no other way. My mother is old and can't live alone. But even so, you know what that woman has said to me and Jen all this time, don't you? So what? It's my fault for not handling things well. My mother wants us to live together. As her son, I have to fulfill her wish. And so, the forceful cohabitation with my mother-in-law began. My name is Millie Taylor. I'm 39 years old. I have a daughter named Jen, who is 9 years old, with my husband Sam, who is 3 years older than me. Whether it's because of our compatibility as a couple or some issue with one of us physically, Jen was born many years after we got married, and we haven't been able to have any more children since then. I'm fine with that. We both work, and having just one child is enough. But it seems my mother-in-law doesn't agree. Ever since we started living together, she's been blaming me every day for not having a second child and for not giving birth to a boy. Why aren't you having a second child? Don't you want to have a boy? I can't. Besides, I'm satisfied just having Jen. You may be satisfied, but I'm not. Don't act all high and mighty, you wife who can only give birth to girls. And just one at that. Girls like her won't be of any use. Why? What's wrong with having girls? It's obvious, isn't it? Girls can't carry on the family name, they'll just get married off, and they're not cute or obedient. That's not true. Do you really think that about Jen too? Yes, I do. She's just as cheeky as you. That's terrible, even though she's your granddaughter. Can't Sam say something about this? Huh? Why do I have to say anything? There's nothing wrong with what my mother is saying. I was shocked by his response. Sam should have cared about Jen. But my mother-in-law has been raising Satoshi single-handedly since her husband passed away when he was a child. I respect my mother-in-law for that, but Sam idolizes her like a god and doesn't know how to oppose her. He often says, there's nothing wrong with what mother says. For him, his mother comes before his wife and daughter. Things have only gotten worse since we started living together. It's because of bad soil that we can't have children other than Jen. Sorry for choosing a lousy woman, as you said, Mother. I wanted a son more than a daughter, you know. Sam, gleeful about disparaging me, pleased his mother. Well, considering your age, you probably can't have any more kids, right? You're already 39, aren't you? Men can have children at any age, but women can't. Yeah, that's right. Oh no, if I knew this would happen, I should have picked someone younger. Being disparaged by both of them made me very upset. But what worries me more is that their abusive words might reach the ears of my dear daughter. Lately, Jen, who has become as lively as a boy, went out to play soccer with her male friends at his house. Even on school days, she started coming home after playing soccer until her clothes were covered in mud. Perhaps she senses the tense atmosphere among the adults at home and doesn't want to come home as much as possible. Thinking about that makes me feel sorry. I'll endure whatever you say about me. But please don't say anything bad about Jen. And you too, Sam. What's the big deal? If you don't want to hear it, try having a boy. Anyway, please don't say anything in front of Jen. If anything happens to hurt her, I won't forgive you. I kept repeating that until I managed to get them to promise. And so, nearly a year has passed since we started living together. Even with incompatible relationships between daughter-in-law and mother-in-law, roles have been established as we live together, and gradually things are starting to run smoothly in the house. My mother-in-law's snide remarks have decreased lately. But recently, Sam's behavior has been clearly strange. He's been away from home much more often, and he never leaves his smartphone behind. Then one day, there was an unusual call on the smartphone, left carelessly unlocked, from a woman's name and an unfamiliar icon. When will you finally leave your wife? I became convinced. There's no doubt Sam is having an affair. I used my savings to hire a private investigator to look into it. The results were damning. Sam had been having an affair with a woman in her early 20s for months. What's more shocking is that the woman seems to be pregnant with Sam's child. What is he doing while having me and our daughter? But I had various anxieties about getting a divorce. My biggest concern was Jen. Despite being such a husband, Sam is the only father figure Jen has. He has also taken care of Jen, and they have fond memories together. Should I endure this to avoid depriving Jen of her father? But if things continue like this, Sam might choose the pregnant mistress over us. I was pondering this dilemma one day. When my mother-in-law and I were alone at home, she muttered disdainfully while watching a TV talk show. Having an affair while married is despicable. It's unforgivable. On TV, there was a feature on a scandal involving a married female celebrity having an affair. Hearing that, I thought to myself, maybe my mother-in-law would scold a husband who had an affair. If my husband, who believes mother's words are absolute, were scolded by my mother-in-law, he probably wouldn't have an affair again. I made up my mind and told my mother-in-law. Mother-in-law, it seems like Sam is having an affair.
What did you say?
I have evidence because I used a private investigator. And it seems like the other woman is pregnant. Then, my mother-in-law's face lit up with a joyful smile.
That's wonderful.
Huh?
Why are you surprised? Finally, my son's child is going to be born. It's wonderful, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
It's the child of his affair partner. It's not my child, his wife's child. So what? Either way, it's my son's child, and to me, it's a grandchild. Surely, this time it'll be a boy. But you just said having an affair is despicable and unforgivable.
You're silly. A man's affair and a woman's affair are different. In this case, it's your fault for being unable to satisfy your husband. But still, it's just as I said, isn't it? He goes and makes a child somewhere else.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? Are you saying that Sam's affair was encouraged by you?
Exactly. It's such a waste, you see. Because of you, Sam could only have one girl as his child. So I told him, why not just make a child somewhere else? You can't be satisfied with such a useless woman, can you? Seeking comfort elsewhere won't bring any consequences. A mother encouraging her son to have an affair. But anyway, now that a child is on the way, you need to get divorced quickly and have him remarried over there. I'm looking forward to having a new wife and grandchild. We'll discuss that when Sam gets back. I said that, but I had already prepared myself for divorce. After Sam and Jen returned home, I let Jen play games in another room and decided to talk with the adults. Despite his affair being exposed, Sam remained unfazed and even seemed defiant. So you figured it out, huh? I was planning to surprise Mother with the news.
Are you admitting it? Do you realize what you've done?
What's wrong with it? It's your fault for not being able to satisfy me as a husband. Are you seriously saying that? That you're not at fault for having an affair while having a child? Of course I'm serious. Above all, Mother said so.
You're like a robot controlled by your mother.
My words enraged my mother-in-law, and she slammed her fist on the table.
Shut up. Who are you to talk, you woman who's about to be thrown away? There are plenty of women like you. Get divorced right away, divorce. After all, the woman he's having an affair with is Angie, my friend's niece. She's much more thoughtful than you, Millie-san, and she's a young, cute woman. It's like a dream that she's willing to become my daughter-in-law.
Right. That's also why my mother-in-law is so delighted. Sam, think again. You cared for Jen, didn't you? Are you really going to abandon me and that girl? With all my hopes riding on it, I pleaded with Sam, looking into his eyes. Sam answered without hesitation. Yeah, I'm abandoning you. She's pregnant. I can't shirk my responsibility. Besides, she's having a boy. I found out today. For me and Mom, that's more important. Upon hearing that, My mother-in-law went into a frenzy.
Well, it's a boy after all. Making a boy with Angie, that's a real accomplishment.
As the two of them rejoiced, I fell apart. Was the time Sam spent with me and Jen really so worthless to him? Seeing that, my mother-in-law and husband laugh. Did you really think you'd be chosen? How presumptuous. Millie, you're such a fool. Did you really think Mom would scold me? There's no way Mom wouldn't take my side. Now, if you understand, write up the divorce papers. I've prepared for this moment.
As expected, Mom, you're always prepared. I'll write it up first.
Sam confidently fills out the divorce papers with messy handwriting. Next, it's my turn. The pen feels as heavy as lead.
Now, the wife who's been abandoned by her husband shouldn't brazenly stay in the house. Hurry up and leave, and take your daughter with you.
When I turn around, Jen is standing anxiously at the entrance to the room, looking at us. I feel a chill run down my spine. When did she start listening to our conversation? Please stop. Don't let Jen hear this kind of talk. It's fine. She's going to find out soon enough that we're getting divorced. Jen, Daddy got another lady pregnant. Daddy and I chose that child and that woman, not you and Mom.
Please stop. You promised not to say mean things to Jen.
I don't care about that. Sometimes you just have to be clear about these things. Now, instead of that, hurry up and pack your things and leave. Move out right away. A capable new wife and a cute grandchild are coming. The cute grandchild. Those words indicated that to my mother-in-law, Jen wasn't the cute grandchild. A chill ran through me. I understand. I've already packed up and called the moving company, knowing this would happen. Oh, that's fast, isn't it? You're usually so slow, but you're quick when it counts. Well then, farewell, Millie, Jen. We've had some decent times until now. But I'm going to have even more fun from now on. I'm looking forward to it. Living together with Angie from now on. Soon, the moving truck arrived. The movers carried out my packed belongings one by one, and seeing this, the two of them revealed their joy. Sam, mother-in-law, could you come to the truck for a moment? Huh? Why do we have to do that? I'm fine. After all, I'm technically Jen's father. I'll see them off at least. Yes, then I'll see them off too, at least for the last time. The four of us stood by the truck. As Jen looked up at us anxiously, holding my hand, I stroked her head reassuringly. Now, hurry up and get on board. What are you doing? Are you so reluctant to part ways? But too bad. This house belongs to the new wife and grandchild now. I exchanged nods with the movers. Sir, madam, please get in. The mover's voice was firm, tinged with suppressed anger. Huh? Why should we get in?
Yeah. You've got the wrong people.
No, I haven't made a mistake. Please get in. The mover attempted to push the two onto the truck.
Hey, what are you doing? Those two are supposed to get on the truck. Them. That's right. Are you even listening to us?
The two struggled and resisted. Unable to reach an agreement, I shoved them into the bed of the truck. I tossed their wallets and phones onto the bed afterwards.
Why? What are you doing? Hey, let us out of here.
The mover chuckled at the scene and immediately drove off. The truck shrank into the distance rapidly. Jen waved to the struggling pair. Bye, Dad, Grandma. There was a hint of brightness in her voice. I stroked Jen's head once more and held her hand as we entered the house. Shortly after, I received a call from my mother-in-law.
What is this all about? It's supposed to be you two leaving, not us.
No, it's you who are leaving.
What? How dare you think of kicking out my husband and me? That house belongs to Sam. And yet, here you two are, squatting in it.
Mother-in-law, you seem to be unaware of something. What? This house doesn't belong to Sam. It's my house.
What? Don't lie to me.
This house was originally inherited from my father and is in my name. What nonsense. I heard Sam bought this house. Sam tends to boast to you, so he might have lied.
Sam wouldn't lie to me. Right, Sam? It's a lie, isn't it?
Then, Sam, who seemed to have overheard the conversation, responded in a trembling voice. I'm sorry, Mom. What Millie said is true. That house is in Millie's name. Why? Why would you lie? I just wanted to show off. I wanted to make it seem like I had become successful enough to buy a house. I mean, living in a house under your wife's name, isn't that embarrassing? Eventually, I even forgot that it was a lie and that the house was in Millie's name. So, you won't be allowed to enter this house ever again. Oh, and Sam, I assume you're listening and understand, but you'll be paying alimony for the affair and child support for Jen, too. Alimony, child support. Yes. We'll hire a lawyer to make the claim. Surely, you didn't start an affair and bring up divorce without being prepared for that, right? Sam fell silent. In her place, my mother-in-law started yelling.
Don't lie. You're deceiving us, kicking us out, taking over the house, and now you want our money too? This is outrageous.
We're not deceiving anyone. We never said you had to leave. Taken over? I'll say it again, this house is mine, inherited before our marriage, so it's not marital property. We'll be taking alimony and child support from Sam, though. More importantly, where is this truck even headed? This road, could it be? You talked about looking forward to living with Angie, didn't you? So, we're sending you off to her place. How about that? Aren't I considerate? How do you know Angie's address? I used a private investigator to find out. Oh, and by the way, the mover driving the truck is my brother. Your brother? Yes, he hardly ever shows up and had his hat pulled down low, so you wouldn't have noticed, would you, Sam? My brother heard the whole story, got furious, and gladly helped me with my plan. Trying to escape would be useless, so there you have it. Well then, best of luck to you. I hung up the phone while listening to the screams and shouts of the two. Daddy and Grandma won't come back anymore, right? Jen, who seemed to have been listening to fragments of the conversation, asked to confirm. Not with an anxious expression, but with a look of relief. Despite her young age, it seemed she had some thoughts about the situation. That's right. They've moved away. I smiled as I answered, and Jen smiled too. The events afterward were told to me by my brother. Apparently, when they arrived at the mistress's house, she was in the midst of a passionate affair with a young man. In the midst of this chaos, my mother-in-law and Sam burst in, turning it into a complete scene. Man, I really wanted to show you the hellish scene of that pandemonium. My brother said to me with a laugh. Soon after, I hired a lawyer and managed to get a lump sum of alimony and child support from Sam. We also decided to move to ensure they wouldn't follow us. It was painful to let go of the house where my parents had lived, inherited from my father, but there was no other choice. My brother then offered to exchange his own house for ours, so they wouldn't be able to trace us. Originally, he hadn't inherited it because he already had a house of his own, but apparently, he had wanted this house too. I gladly accepted the exchange. If it's my brother's house, then I feel at ease. Plus, both Jen and I are already familiar with it. Jen also seems to be relieved that she won't have to change schools. With my muscular brother around, I'm sure he can handle those two if they ever show up. He even said he'd offset the cost of buying the house, so we only had to pay for the moving expenses. I truly have nothing but gratitude for my brother. Moving and changing the locks, things finally settled down. It was then that I noticed a change in Jen's behavior. Before, Jen preferred wearing pants over skirts, had a boyish style, kept her hair short, played soccer with the boys, and preferred superhero shows over girly cartoons. But after the divorce and the move, she suddenly started wearing skirts more often, wanted to grow her hair long, invited girlfriends over, and started watching girly cartoons. I wondered if she had developed a crush on a boy or something, so I asked Jen about the reason for her change. Her response was unexpected. Well, both Dad and Grandma like boys and dislike girls, right? That's why I couldn't invite my girlfriends over, and I thought if I acted more like a boy, they might like me a bit and Mom wouldn't get mad at me. But in the end, both of them left anyway. I was shocked. I never intended to let Jen know how much she was hurting in front of her. At least, that was the promise. But I hadn't been watching over them all the time. They were having conversations about urging infidelity behind my back. Moreover, we had been living under the same roof all that time. There was no way she wouldn't have noticed that her grandmother didn't like her, that her father was siding with her grandmother, and that I wasn't getting along with them. With her young and delicate heart, she must have sensed various things and suffered. What was I, as her mother, doing without noticing it? Acting as if I were the only one suffering. Now that Dad and Grandma are gone, I'll stop trying to be like a boy. But I wonder if we could have all gotten along if I had been a boy. Regardless of her grandmother, there were good memories with her father, so it must be complicated for her. I hugged Jen, whose face clouded over. That's not true. You've done nothing wrong, Jen. Grandma was always a mean person. Dad just followed whatever Grandma said. It's been like that since before you were born. Let's forget about those two. You can be whoever you want to be, Jen. Mom loves you just the way you are. Jen hugged me back. It's okay for me to be a girl, right? Of course. I'm sorry for making you sad all this time. I apologized and vowed to make Jen happy, even as a single mother. Since then, there have been disputes among my ex-husband, ex-mother-in-law, and his mistress, but in the end, they decided to live together in a cramped apartment for the sake of the child they had together. My ex-mother-in-law had some issues with the friend who was her mistress's aunt, and they drifted apart. 2 years flew by in the blink of an eye. Jen and I are living a comfortable life together. At 11 years old, Jen has become quite the young lady, and she even helps with household chores, which is a big relief for me. At that moment, I received a call from my ex-husband, Sam, out of the blue. Millie, where are you and Jen right now? I'm at your old place, but I can't get in. Hurry back home. We've long since let go of that place. It belongs to someone else now. You better leave before the current residents return. I didn't mention that the current resident was my brother.
Then tell me your current address. I'll come over right away.
No, I won't. Why should I tell a stranger like you? I'm not a stranger. We're ex-spouses, and I'm Jen's father. You abandoned both Jen and me. Our ties were severed back then. Don't say that. Even if you don't want to see me, Jen must want to see me. She's my only child. Actually, she doesn't want to see you at all. In fact, she's been more lively and herself since you two left. But being a single mother must be tough. Not at all. I'm earning more now than I did with you. Thanks to that, we can live comfortably. But I should still be there, shouldn't I? I'll cut ties with my mother. I've had a change of heart. Let's remarry and live together again. I was stunned. I'm surprised. You, of all people, cutting ties with your mother? What's going on? And earlier, you called Jen my only child, right? But you should have a son with that woman. What happened to him? Well, that. He wasn't my child. Sam's story went like this. Even in their frosty marriage, a child was born safely. His mother-in-law doted on the baby boy. But from the beginning, there was a sense of unease about a child who didn't resemble him much. He convinced himself that it was inevitable for a baby, but as the child grew, the discomfort grew as well. When he consulted a colleague, he was told something like this. Come to think of it, I read a story like this before. A man blamed his ex-wife for not being able to have children, divorced her, and married another woman. He was blessed with a child, but it turned out his ex-wife had also remarried and had a child. The real cause of infertility was on the man's side, and the child born to the new wife was from a surrogate. Maybe you're in a similar situation. At that moment, Sam remembered the young man he had seen his lover with. Although timing-wise, there was no doubt the child was Sam's, despite his mother's encouragement. Why had he so easily believed it? But I'm not infertile. I have a daughter with my ex-wife. She looks just like me. Then maybe it's not can't have children, but hard to have children. That daughter might be the only one you could have besides her. Yeah. Plus, my daughter was born years after we got married. Still, it's strange how your lover got pregnant right after the affair. It's a weird story. It could be that your ex-wife had an issue. Well, you'll find out once you get tested, won't you? Filled with doubts, Sam immediately went for a test. As a result, as Sam's colleague had said, it turned out that Sam had difficulty having children. And when a DNA test was conducted, it was confirmed that the child was not Sam's. When Sam confronted his wife, she readily confessed.
I'm sorry, forgive me. There was a time when I was forced against my will. Maybe that child is from that time.
Forced?
How can I believe that? You were adamant that it was definitely my child. We had an agreement with that man. It must be his child. No, it's different. We used contraception, and the timing doesn't match.
I don't care anymore. Anyway, it wasn't my child, so I can't raise a child who isn't mine. Please, let's get divorced. However, surprisingly, it was Sam's former mother-in-law who opposed this. Well, it's not the child's fault, is it? If Angie is also repenting, let's forgive her and continue as a family. If she was forced, then it's a pity. Mom, are you saying I should be the father of a child who isn't biologically mine? I absolutely refuse. But even though he's not biologically related, he's the long-awaited son and the successor. I can't bear to part with such a cute child. I'm worried about our retirement, too. Anyway, you have difficulty having children. So, why not become this child's father? You'll listen to my wishes, won't you? Sam seemed taken aback by his former mother-in-law's confident expression.
She's right. Even without a blood connection, we can still be a parent and child. Shut up. Mom, I've misjudged you. In the end, you were more concerned about yourself than me. That's not true. I was thinking of your well-being. What's for my well-being? Falling for a woman like this, separating from Millie and Jen, it's all because of you. And even when you found out about the surrogate, instead of supporting me, you demand that I raise the child. I'm cutting ties with a mother like you who demands that. What did you say? This must be a joke, Sam. You're cutting ties with me.
After such exchanges, Sam stormed out of the house and decided to start over with me and Jen.
I was wrong. Millie was right. I've been blindly following my mother like a robot. From now on, I'll change. Let's start over as a family of 3.
Stop kidding. It's too late to realize it now. It's no excuse to say you were just obeying your parents like a child at your age. Understand, will you? For years, I only had my mother. If she's gone, we can manage just fine. So, if you keep going on like this, I'll call my brother to come and kick you out. Upon hearing those words, he seemed to be intimidated and immediately hung up the phone. Pathetic, I thought. After that, it seems Sam got divorced and became a twice-divorced man, leaving the house. His former mother-in-law blamed her estrangement on her daughter-in-law and apparently they quarreled every day. Concerned neighbors reported the situation, and the children ended up going to child services. The biggest victim in all of this is the child who's being tossed around because of the adults' issues. Though it's none of my business, I hope they find happiness. I too have become a single mother like my former mother-in-law, but I want to raise Jen without hindering her independence, learning from the twisted parent-child relationship of my former mother-in-law and ex-husband.